In today's program, the Thai government shortens the time between a second COVID dose and a booster dose from 6 months to 3 months. Meanwhile, Myanmar's shadow government turns to cryptocurrencies to fund its resistance against the military junta. Details on these stories coming right up. You're watching Thailand News Today, bringing you the latest headlines in Thailand and beyond. And in our first story, the Thai government has decided to cut the 6 months period between the administration of a second dose of a COVID-19 vaccine into half. CCSA spokesman Tawisin Wisnuyotin says this shortening to 3 months is meant to combat the Omicron variant. Thailand has so far reported 8 cases of the Omicron variant, all of which were imported. The Public Health Ministry says that to date, there has been no case of community transmission. The variant, which appears to be highly transmissible, has been reported in dozens of countries, with the UK reporting its first death from Omicron. Preliminary data from the UK health security agencies shows that booster doses significantly increase protection. According to a report, Tawisin says people who receive their second vaccine dose in August or September can now get a booster dose from any vaccination center in the country. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha is calling on the public to get vaccinated as soon as they can to participate in New Year's countdown events. New Year's events were given the okay by the CCSA yesterday, with alcohol consumption allowed until 1 a.m. on January 1st. But festival organizers need to abide by COVID-free setting measures, requiring attendees to be vaccinated. Following the CCSA's approval, the Prime Minister pressured the public to get vaccinated before large end-of-year celebrations begin on December the 27th. The Thai government also recommended that the public get vaccinated or take an antigen test before attending house parties or family gatherings to ring in 2022. Restaurants in all 77 provinces will be permitted to serve alcohol during the New Year's Eve countdown until 1 a.m. on January the 1st if they are open-air eateries with adequate ventilation. Organizers, employees, vocalists, and musicians must be completely vaccinated and undergo antigen testing 72 hours prior to a New Year's Eve countdown party with at least 1,000 attendees who must register or purchase tickets in advance, be properly vaccinated, and present a negative ATK test result issued 72 hours before the event. Jumping to regional news, Myanmar's shadow government has officially recognized a cryptocurrency as part of its financing campaign to overthrow Myanmar's military junta. The shadow National Unity Government is run by supporters and lawmakers of deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi. In a Facebook post on Sunday, the NUG's finance minister said that the cryptocurrency Tether is recognized for its ease of use and transaction speed without giving any further information. Tether is a subcategory of cryptocurrencies called stablecoins, whose value is pegged to the US dollar. The issuer does so by holding the equivalent amount of value in US dollars or short-term treasuries in its reserves. Stablecoins are used as dollar proxies by people who are unable to access dollars through the traditional banking system or to circumvent capital controls, such as the ones currently imposed by Myanmar's military junta. This new move from NUG demonstrates its defiance of military-controlled Myanmar's central bank, which declared all digital currencies illegal in May of last year, threatening offenders with jail and penalties. It comes just weeks after the NUG raised $9.5 million in the first 24 hours from the sale of its revolutionary treasury bonds to the Myanmar diaspora around the world. Due to strong demand, purchases were halted for a week until December the 6th, and there has been little information about how much money has been raised so far. The NUG also intends to recruit sales agents in several countries to assist with sales, hoping to generate $1 billion through the sale of the bonds, which the junta claims is in violation of anti-terrorism legislation. The public is only familiar with the current digital wallets such as KPay and Wave Money when it comes to the digital systems domestically, raising questions about whether the new digital currency USD Tether will work. The world-famous Maya Bay is expected to reopen from January the 1st, but officials are now uncertain whether they could fulfill their promise. A newly constructed pier built on Losama Bay will be the main arrival point for tourists visiting Maya Bay, the famed location of the 2000 Leonardo DiCaprio film, The Beach. According to a report, the Environment and Natural Resources Committee had received word from the contractor working on the pier's construction, indicating that it might not be ready in time for the January 1st deadline. The committee subsequently stated that it might ask to delay the reopening. On the other hand, locals agree that the reopening of Maya Bay would significantly boost the local economy and tourism to the region, and therefore businesses are in agreement and have voiced their opposition to any delay to Maya Bay's reopening. Tourism businesses in the region say people are anxious to return to the beauty spot, having waited 3.5 years for it to reopen. Maya Bay was closed in 2018 to allow for the rehabilitation of its coral reefs and marine life, which had been significantly damaged by out-of-control tourist numbers. Local officials say that since its closure, things have improved significantly, with coral reefs recovering and black-tipped reef sharks returning to the bay. Once its doors reopen, tourist numbers will be capped at 300 per round and opening hours limited to between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Thailand's land crossings along the Malaysian border will reopen in mid-January under the Test and Go quarantine exemption scheme for fully vaccinated travelers. The CCSA approved a measure to set up test-and-go checkpoints at the land crossings in the provinces bordering Malaysia, including Songkhla, Yala, Narathiwat, and Satun. Under the test-and-go scheme, quarantine is exempt for vaccinated travelers from approved countries who pass a RT-PCR COVID-19 test upon arrival. Travelers need to book a SHA Plus certified hotel while they wait for the results, which can take up to a day. Thai and Malaysian authorities still need to negotiate the exact date the scheme will be launched. Relevant agencies in the border provinces also need to prepare for the reopening by ensuring that hotels abide by SHA Plus standards and setting up a system to check vaccine certificates. Malaysia's travel restrictions have been tight, with limited flights and a mandatory quarantine period, even for fully vaccinated passengers. One Malaysian national living in Thailand told the Thaiger that she had to book flights with layovers in Singapore in order to travel to Kuala Lumpur and back to southern Thailand. Malaysia and Singapore have a vaccinated travel lane agreement. A passenger train carrying around 300 people was bombed in Thailand's deep south, injuring 2 train officers and 1 passenger. The Defense Ministry says insurgents detonated the explosive along a railway in Pattani, a province by the Malaysian border with ongoing violence and attacks related to the religious separatist insurgency. Thailand's Defense Ministry condemned the insurgents for attacking innocent people on board, calling it, quote, inhumane. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, who also serves as the defense minister, has ordered increased monitoring on the southern route to safeguard commuters who rely on trains. The incident took place around 12:40 p.m. yesterday when train number 452 from Sungai Golok to Nakhon Si Thammarat was traveling between Pattani and Tapat stations, carrying 300 passengers on board. The train driver opted not to halt the train and went as far as Tapat Station in Songkhla's Tepa district because he anticipated more attacks. The State Railway of Thailand then transported the 300 passengers to their destinations on subsequent trains from the station. Police raided a restaurant in Bangkok, arresting more than 45 people for partying and drinking alcohol. Immigration police say 30 people were foreigners from Nigeria, Congo, and Cameroon. Half of them did not have passports on hand or any official entry stamps from immigration. Some face charges for illegal entry. 15 Thai women at the restaurant were charged with violating the emergency decree. The restaurant's operator reportedly claimed that her eatery had been operating with all of the necessity licenses to offer alcoholic beverages a month ago. And that wraps up our show for today. Thailand News Today will be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, you're now up to date on the Thaiger.